Well, I have a little demonstration to kind of illustrate something that meant a lot to me recently. Does anybody know what this is? Yeah, it's a magnet. And so we know what magnets do. They attract. And then does anybody know what this is? It's just made out of steel. Some kind of metal. And then this is a socket like you'd use to turn nuts and bolts. And so there's no attraction between these two pieces of steel. There's nothing. It doesn't pick it up. It doesn't do anything. I might be able to kind of force it in there and do some kind of maneuvering like that. But in itself, this steel has no power. This magnet, on the other hand, has an electrical field because of the alignment of the molecules. They are all aligned and therefore produce magnetic attraction, so they can pick up a piece of steel. Now, as I said, this plain piece of steel has no attraction, but when it's attached to the magnet, it then can pick up the piece of steel like that because of the magnet. There's no power in the steel itself, but the magnet has the power, and when the steel is attached to the magnet, it then has that same power. So the reason that meant something to me is what I'd like to read. That's not really my analogy. It comes from a book that a good brother, Luke Hahn from Iowa, sent me. And it's meant a lot to me. Learning some really good things. It's been very convicting. The Greatest Thing in the World by Henry Drummond. I don't know if anybody else has read that or not. And its topic is 1 Corinthians 13, the subject which is love. And it says things like, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I gave my body to be burned and have not love, it profiteth me nothing. And then it goes on to describe love. Love suffereth long, it's kind. Love envieth not. Love vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Love never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part and prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child, and I understood as a child. I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even also as I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, love, these three. And this is remarkable. He says, but the greatest of these is love. That's the Bible. It says the greatest of those things is love. And then also recently realizing there's a difficulty there. Can we love perfectly, like this chapter tells us? We can't. If you've ever tried, you realize there are insurmountable difficulties. Matthew 22:36 through 40 says, this is one of the Pharisees asking the Lord, trying to trip him up. He says, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Now that, if I left it right there, would really leave us hopeless, wouldn't it? That's the greatest thing in the Bible, is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Can we do that? We have no ability to do that. And we can't even love other people as ourselves. We get angry at people. We get frustrated with people. And we end up judging people based on what we think they should be when we're not even lovable as ourselves. But then I lost the reference, but the verse that is in Luke. And he said, The things which are impossible with men are possible with God. And then Psalm 37:5, Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. What did the thief on the cross do next to the Lord? He said, Remember me. He didn't try to purport some kind of value in himself, or say, Lord, I've done everything else right. He didn't try to say anything. He didn't even try to love. He just knew he needed the Lord. And he said, Remember me when you come into when you're in heaven. And the Lord said, You will be with me this day, because he relied on him. So in ourselves, we have no power, no ability to love like we're supposed to. But when we come in contact with the Lord, who has the power, then we're able to love like we're supposed to. And there's no other way except being in contact with the Lord Jesus Christ. God is love. We can't change our nature. We can't work it up. But when we're in contact with the Lord, he will teach us to love. Love is a lot of things. Kind of like light. There's a lot of colors all put together and you get white light. But we can't put all those things together in 1 Corinthians 13. It's too difficult for us. It's the summation of the law. How can we keep the law? We can't. But the Lord fulfilled the law. That's why he came. He came to fulfill the law and to seek and to save that which was lost. And when we're in contact with him, he'll teach us. He'll make us into what he is, because he is love. That meant a lot to me.